everybody, welcome welcome back to my channel. My name is Leah Catherine. This is Leah Sees Movies, and we are back with the next episode of Young Justice, Aquaman edition. I'm this close, man. I keep wanting to say Aqualad. I'm very bad at name changes. But anyway, we're on our second episode of the Kaldur arc. Ocean Master attacked. He was fended off by a mysterious cloaked figure, while all of the Atlanteans put in, I'm gonna say it, a very poor show of defending themselves. And Aqualad, no! Aquaman, Kaldur, is clearly struggling under the weight of like a decade of being neglected emotionally, of feeling like everything is on his shoulders and he needs to solve everything, including the deaths of his friends. And so at some point, hopefully, we're gonna like reckon with that in this arc, but they're definitely laying down the groundwork for it. And also we had a little side view of Violet, who is officially now going by they them pronouns and is discovering Islam for themselves. And it's, I'm gonna be honest, a very weird aside to what's going on in Atlantis, but that's kind of how this whole season has been structured. And then we also have Connor and Phantom Girl, I think a couple of you said, going on their own little mission to figure out where they are. And can I stop calling it the Quantum Realm? I probably won't stop calling it that, but I'm sure it has an official DC name that's not the same as the Marvel thing for glowy blue and purple universes where things are weird and ghosty. Yeah, I think that's all I have for recapping, and I don't really have too much in the way of expectations for this episode. I think we're kind of gonna truck along, and then maybe in the third episode is where we'll get like a big shocking reveal, maybe. Or if it goes the way the other arcs are gonna keep the big shocking reveal to like the very last 5 minutes of the fourth episode. I feel like if you just took every fourth episode of the season, you'd have like one story arc. Like everything else is kind of incidental. But yeah, so I don't have too much to say, so I'm gonna keep this brief. Let's get started. Wasn't there a thing in like the head of this diner was like an alien or something?
Thanks, Bilbo.
Am I crazy? Am I thinking of Men in Black?
Superman, we need to talk.
I think you're confused.
He's like, no, I'm wearing my glasses today. Surely.
But we do need your help.
Also, I love that that's Clark's reaction to someone figuring out his secret identity. Just, oh, I think you're confused. Like, actually, I had more energy in that mocking recreation than he actually had. It was just like, oh, I think you're confused. I mean, I guess he... The thing is, again, his secret identity and his disguise is so ridiculous, he can't even put forth like a really passionate defense of that argument. Like, if someone calls him out, he kind of just has to go, you got me. Poseidonus, that's what it's called.
No, we have found neither foot nor fin of Ocean Master. Apologies.
No apologies necessary. Orm has always been a slippery fish.
Are we going to address how he's alive?
What did he truly hope to gain from his attack?
Perhaps after 6 years in an Atlantean prison, he simply wanted vengeance.
But then, why wait so long to take it?
Was other person just wearing an Ocean Master costume he got off the rack? Like...
Yes. Incited by Zebul's own King Nereus. Mass demonstrations, protests. Well...
Probably because he got knocked out during the fight and he needs to save face a little bit.
Our resources may be stretched thin, but we could not leave Poseidonus in ruins. For the pride of Atlantis, Orm cannot be seen to have won. The funds for these repairs came from Poseidonus' own general fund, not from the Atlantean treasury.
But with respect, my king, this is not how the people perceive the decision.
I mean, it depends. Like, what are you fixing? If you're like, oh, he destroyed, like, the roads, then yeah, you should fix those. But if you're like, oh, our precious vase collection, we need to repair it, then yeah, people are gonna not like that. Because that's a really stupid thing to be like, ugh, the pride of Poseidonus. Like, no one cares about your fancy vases. But considering the state of their, like, throne room, it looks like this was just general repairs. Like, it doesn't look like they've been replacing fancy vases.
I'm still hoping this heat trail leads us to something. Anyway, what choice do we have? You know, besides admitting we're actually dead.
Hey, denial's always fun. mean, if he can only pick her up because he believes that she's solid, he should have just believed that he was no longer solid and it wouldn't have been an issue. Oh. You wanted to not be alone so badly.
Right. What are the exact words of this prophecy?
The stranger come from out our past to quell the Trident's threat at last. Shall herald seas that bring red death, but 3 will rise, restoring breath. When best of these gains Arion's crown, our one true king revives renown. And
Well, that's fun. I mean, less fun when you're the king they're deposing.
Is it possible Orm threw the fight to make a hero out of his conqueror? That kind of manipulation, at least, is more his style.
possibly, but the stranger did have real magic, real power.
Another reason why we must find them both. My brother and the stranger.
Because this guy is not Arthur, who is the only Aquaman I'm really familiar with. And their son's name was like Arthur, not Arthur. So I don't know if this is like a separate thing. Is that guy Arthur in the picture?
Delphis,
I don't know.
I am certain the families displaced by Ocean Master's attack appreciate your help.
I am not certain you understand how much I value the opportunity to be offering help to someone other than myself. That has not been my history.
Also, I feel like they kind of dropped this idea that Delphine has this really interesting backstory and a whole bunch of stuff that happened on land that she never wanted to go back to. And then it never went anywhere. I hate a setup of a mystery that doesn't go anywhere. I like a mystery. Are they gonna throuple up too? I can be with it. That's an attractive throuple.
The truth is, son, we're worried about you. Wynn tells us you've been hunting Ocean Master in between missions for the Justice League.
While still trying to mourn your friend Connor. We have talked about this. You take on too much.
Yeah.
His face! I don't want to talk about my feelings.
As a child, I learned to be responsible for...
Parentification.
But we were anything but good role models of that virtue.
Love.
Oh boy.
Always. And maybe that was the best and most important gift we could have given you.
I mean, maybe not a crushing sense of responsibility. That's not a great gift.
Was always leaving you alone with your mother.
And I was suffering from depression. There were days I could not leave our home. You were my little soldier, parenting me.
You took odd jobs when I could find no work anywhere in Shares, except with Crush's criminal gang. We eventually got our acts together.
This is a terrible way to give his backstory.
Kaldur, you have always been the adult in the room. You need to take time to just be you.
Oh, I'm gonna love editing out all this barking. This is gonna be great for me. Like, I appreciate it and it makes perfect sense given his entire character arc, but just like, who talks like this? Like, they might as well have actually just put him in a therapy session and at least he would be like, hi, nice to meet you. I had to parent my parents. You know what I mean? Versus just like, ah, yes.
My friend Clark said you wanted to see me?
So he really said, my friend Clark said you wanted to meet with him. What?
You never drop the con. You never break. Die with the lie.
Boy, we did save his life outside the UN a year ago, and no one knew. But on Mars, we failed.
If what you say is true, why not go back in time and try again?
We're part of the timeline.
Our time sphere was destroyed.
How did you get here from Mars?
We asked for help and she said yes.
She?
Baby. Lend some credence to their story. Oh, okay. I was like, what's going on? I just realized where we were in the story. This is during the child's reign of terror. Seriously, can you just believe that you can't get hurt anymore? Believe that it can't touch you. That's silly. Believe you can't feel pain. Believe you're invulnerable. believe you're 100% Kryptonian, since we're just rolling off vibes.
Arion, she created this pillar of fire, the source of these red waters. Anything the red touches dies.
Stay away from Poseidonus and the red water. If you are within Poseidonus' dome, stay
So
inside.
presumably this mystery savior is gonna come back.
She's a darn good character reference. What do you need?
Like your friend Clark.
We need you to take his place at a crucial moment in time.
We need you to be in Happy Harbor, Rhode Island 10 years from today at 12 noon exactly. Ask yourself, what would Superboy do?
That's all we can ask or reveal.
I can do that. Or try, at least.
The time stream's fragile. We're taking you.
I mean, we've already had a time traveler. You should know how this goes.
Please, get on board so we can get out of the way.
Black light.
He's just like, God. Someone gave them the catchphrase list. So do you guys just, like, get jobs now or something?
And to take Superboy's place should have fixed everything, given us an instant reset. So clearly Superman failed.
Multiple dousings of chronoton radiation. We may be so far outside our original timeline. We may never know if we fixed things or not.
Get Blubber inside and seal the dome.
As you command.
I mean, you're not really doing anything outside the dome, so you might as well head inside.
Cannot believe even you would capitalize on this calamity for your own ends.
Then for once you are right, Orin. I have in fact come to help. Now, hadn't you better retreat?
Yeah, what are you doing? It's an ego thing. He's like, I'm the king, I have to help, but... Oh, look at all those poor fish. Didn't you guys have like a whole sorcerer school? What? Where are the students? Get to work.
My queen, what will Ocean Master do should you both succeed?
Try to kill us, probably. But one crisis at a time.
That's an hour from now's problem. Those are very deep gouges in his back. Can you just fly away at this point? Because this is not going your way. Well, the good news is, if you're not a ghost, you can die again. Yay.
Ghosty, you're all right. Why am I the only thing that's solid to this?
You want it to be solid so bad.
It's attracted to my rage.
I mean, I guess. Like, I feel like that's gonna work because that's how the show works, but is that really the first thing you would think? The unconscious girl is okay, but I'm not. It's attracted to my rage? Maybe it's just attractive to your active brain, like, activity. You don't know. Was he angry before? I guess he was frustrated.
We survived the monster. But obviously it's pointless following that thing's heat trail, so...
Can you believe that there aren't holes in your chest now? It's grossing me out.
Again. What am I gonna do?
Also, for anyone who can't see how fantastic this mug is, unrelated, I just like my mug.
Suppression beams!
With everything we have! The stranger come from out our past to quell the Trident's threat at last. Shall herald seas that bring red death, but three will rise.
Oh.
Restoring breath.
Those colors are awesome. Yeah, there you go. Not Kaldur getting knocked out again. Are we not tired? Yeah, you're actually using your own magic. This man is just using his giant fork.
Fools! You think to thwart me again?
Nice.
No!
My tuning fork!
You are under arrest.
No!
That's such a lame villain. Like, if he just drops his stake, he's done for the day. Like, he has nothing else to offer. I mean, I guess that's like a lot of them, that they need their magic thing, but He really just like dropped it in a fight and was done.
You will regret this, brother.
Why do you have a head?
Kalduram will be all right.
So, who are you? What's going on?
Wait.
We need to crown you, random guy.
But what is your name?
In days gone by, I was called Arion.
Heyo.
Arion? Arion, Lord of Atlantis? Arion, the founder of Atlantis?
Arion, the failure of Atlantis.
Can I say Arion's hot or is that weird? Anyway, I already said it.
The answer, perhaps, to an ancient question. Said answer, thus raising 1,000 questions more.
So I'm assuming Arion either went missing or was assumed dead, but apparently has been chilling in the ocean for 1,000 years.
Kid Flash, we need to talk.
I'm kind of sad we cut. I wanted to see if he would do the same thing Clark did.
Though the crisis with Child has passed, I believe we should leave our valued assets here.
Speaking of saving money on animation, have you guys noticed that Cassandra's note writing animation is just...
Have Simon confirm that the Cybacks are all intact. Update the inventory.
And it's the same one from the other episode.
Our focus must turn to Project Threenus.
Threenus.
As of now, it is our sole priority.
I don't know. Is that, I feel like I give like 15 minutes of theories and circling back and thinking in circles, and then my immediate response to that episode is just like, alright. Like, Superboy stuff, I'm gonna start with that because I feel like I can be quick. Okay. I feel like I'm not quite understanding all of his logical leaps that I'm assuming they're making very quick for the sake of, you know, expediency. Because it was the same thing, I think, 2 episodes ago or whatever, the first episode where we saw him, where he was just like, oh, I'm not solid because I need to believe I'm solid. And I was like, I don't know if that'd be my first thought, but sure. And here it's like, oh, it's attracted to my rage. And it's like, sure. Don't know if that'd be my first thought, but okay. These scenes, you know, ostensibly have a purpose. Like, we're seeing them for a reason and not just as confirmation that he's alive. There's some type of importance to what we're seeing, presumably. But I don't really get what it is. And I'm kind of curious if what Chameleon Boy and Saturn, Sailor Jupiter, I don't know, the blonde girl, if what they were saying about like, oh, think like Superman, think like Superman, think like Superboy. So maybe all of those things where I'm like, I wouldn't think like this, that's the lesson here, is that I would not think like Superboy, and I need to learn to, you know, fight whatever crisis is gonna happen in Happy Harbor, Rhode Island in 10 years at exactly noon. So maybe that's what it is. Maybe I've answered my own question. You guys just get to watch me think. It's really not that enjoyable, but you're still here, and thank you. You know what, let's just move on from that. Maybe that's what the theory is. Otherwise, we just have quantum realm monsters that like anger. Alright, cool. Additionally, we got Kaldur's backstory. After 4 seasons. And he's just like begging for it. We have gotten Kaldur's backstory, and we got it through a forced FaceTime call with his parents, where they told him his own childhood. In a way, you know, in the way that we all have conversations with our parents, where they tell us about our childhood trauma we don't acknowledge. It's great. It was so awkward. Like, it makes total sense character development-wise, and I appreciate having seen it. But my gosh, that is... I was rarely home, and I had depression, and I couldn't get a job, and you were the real parent here. You worked part-time jobs. We weren't really... Like, wow. They might as well have pulled out the DSM-5 and just been like, parentification and its effects on childhood development. Wow. I mean, I know we're losing time here, but my gosh, there wasn't any other way to make that flow a little more naturally. We have to focus more on Atlantean prophecy, that thing that we've all heard so much about up until this season. I mean, granted, we haven't really heard anything about Poseidonus up until this season, at least not in this type of depth, so I guess I can't really make too many jokes, but wowzers. I feel like if you're like, we only have 4 episodes to focus underwater, and it's like, should we focus on naturally expounding on Kaldur's backstory or introducing Atlantean myth, you know, King Arthur prophecy? I think I know what I would pick as a thing to focus on, but that's just me. I'm not the showrunner. But yeah, so I'm glad to know it. I like it. I like that it makes sense. That's the execution. It is what it was. Ocean Master's back. They have not explained why his head is attached. They said he was in an Atlantean prison for 6 years, which they did say in that episode where he tried to kill all of the super babies. He was like, hey, I was in prison. Screw all of you. I'm taking everybody down. They did say all of that. So my theory about, was that just someone with an Ocean Master Party City costume? Probably not. But then that raises the question, are there multiple Young Justice timelines that we've been traveling on this entire time and they didn't tell us? Which isn't impossible, especially because we have time travelers in this series who they made the whole point of, like, we don't know what we've done to the timeline. We might be so far outside of our original timeline that it could be all different, blah, 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 blah. So, plausible theory, we're actually on multiple timelines and they're just not showing us when that divergence happened. If they did save Connor's life a year ago that no one ever knew about, that could have been the first divergent point, right? Because Connor was meant to die, they saved his life, new timeline. Connor, is again meant to die, like a Final Destination scenario. On Mars, they try to save his life. It failed. Now we're on this current timeline. Maybe there's a third timeline where they successfully saved Connor's life on Mars, and that's a whole other thing. We saw when Clarion inhabited that bus and took all those kids on the worst field trip of their lives. He was traveling through space and time. He was traveling, though, through all the timelines we've already seen before. So, except for the one where they split the world in half. But that was a different event. But he was traveling through space and time. Arguably, he could have been traveling through different timelines. Now they're going to Kid Flash, who we already know is a time traveler, and already erased one timeline where Blue Beetle leads the takeover of Earth. So, I mean, that makes sense that they'd go to him to be like, hey, you know about this whole time travel situation, like, we need assistance. Do they need assistance going back to their time? Maybe. Do they just want to confirm that they did the right thing? Perhaps. I think that's gonna be my new thing. Until proven otherwise, we are on a divergent timeline that started when they saved Superboy's life the first time. Boom. And then that'll explain why Ocean Master's head is still attached. King Arion has some inferiority complexes about perception and everyone kind of thinking he's a trash king, and also there's a prophecy and everyone likes that guy because he's hotter, and that's exactly what they said. I heard them. They took a poll, and I'm sure they'll have beef about it, and then there'll be a bunch of questions about why did you abandon Atlantis? And we already know that Nobu was the leader of Atlantis before he got hit in the head with the big rock. So I guess that's one of his kids. Maybe? If he's the founder of Atlantis, right? Like, wouldn't he be like Nobu's kid? Because that's when Atlantis sunk under the ocean, so that's all I could imagine it be. Like, he'd have to be like kid, grandkid, like a very close relation. Like, and so then the new mystery is going to be like, where did you go? Why did you go? Where have you been? Yada, yada, yada. Which, again, is something we haven't seen before. I don't have anything, real thoughts on that yet. We'll see where it goes when we see it. I think the most pressing question, of course, is Delphine going to join Kaldur and that guy that's not his friend, but I always think is his friend in a threesome? No. I meant to say throuple. A threesome is like a slightly different thing. Whoops. Anyway, and Jesus Christ. Also, I enjoy the way Clark reacts when called out on being Superman. My friend Clark said you guys needed some assistance. Okay. So, what do I think's gonna happen next episode? I think next episode, and also because I saw the thumbnail for the next episode, is mostly gonna be Arion backstory, which again, fine, but distracting from my Kaldur time, not a fan of that. Although maybe he'll be like, hey, I was knocked out in a fight again, and you know, I'm just going through some stuff that I need to deal with emotionally. But I doubt it. I feel like we are actually going to get that, you know, scene where he breaks, where he realizes he needs to take a break, he needs help, he needs to talk to somebody, he needs to acknowledge his feelings. Whether that happens next episode, maybe not, just because I feel like the majority of our screen time is going to be taken up to the whole Arion backstory thing. So maybe that's going to be our like 4th episode cliffhanger thing of him just being like, I need to take leave from the league or something. Like, that's gonna be the big like Kaldur taking a vacation. And then when, I don't know, maybe when someone needs him, like they'll call and he won't pick up. That would be, I think that would be a fun like 4th episode cliffhanger. It's like they're like, we need Kaldur, blah blah blah, and he just doesn't pick up because he's finally cracked. And then they're like, what do we do when the most dependable person does not pick up the phone? As is his right, frankly. But probably not, because we're going to be leading into whatever this Operation Threnos is. I don't think I said that right at all. But we're dropping it in post-credit after post-credit, so it'll be something. It's like we're so far into the season and I have literally no idea what Vandal is doing. And season 5 is, you know, a wish in the wind. So I just feel like I'm gonna be really disappointed at the end of this, because it's just gonna be like, oh, that was his master plan. Too bad, we'll never see it executed. But I hope not. Genuinely, I hate things feeling incomplete. So I think that's about all I have for this one. So I'm gonna wrap it up here. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, please like, subscribe, comment, etc. All of those good things that make me very, very happy. If you don't want to do any of that, but you've watched all the way to the end of this video, my God, you're amazing. Thank you. I usually say you can follow me on Twitter, but I really don't know how much time we have left on that, and I don't really want to make a thread. So you know what? I don't know. Just leave a second nice comment instead. Anyway, catch you guys next time. Peace!